easily while we are grown-ups. So how far it's important to teach the children the communication skills since they are very young in order to grow up having these skills instead of teaching them while they are grown-ups?
Yes, well, actually, I think right now, and I'm quite happy to see this progress, that in several universities, there has been actually a trend recently to incorporate these skills in the syllabus in certain universities and certain faculties. And right now, actually, I have seen in many sessions, parents who actually attend as participants in courses are very much interested to know how can they enhance these skills for their kids. Well, actually, one of the behaviors that, for example, helps to improve the listening skills for kids is encouraging them to paraphrase when they listen to something. So when they paraphrase, it's like they say and repeat what they have listened to. So that makes them sort of comfortable that they have fully understood the message. And also it has a positive impact because it sort of gives a message to the speaker that the listener is fully aware of the content of the message. So paraphrasing, summarizing are two behaviors that actually go a long way to familiarize and to make children develop listening skills. This is one. The second thing, I would like to actually stress the point of empathy. And when we talk about empathy, I mean, we see through the nature of our work, many people, for example, who are very good at work as grown-ups, but when we talk about the part of empathy, empathy is putting yourself in the other person's place and looking at the situation through their eyes. Well, not many people actually, they excel in this skill. The ability to, as I said, empathize and to sort of know exactly what is and read what is between lines. So it is very important actually to try to encourage our children to read between lines and to identify what could be the hidden message that is not being mentioned by the speaker. Like, for example, sometimes people might come up to us and complain about something. They might have a sort of an internal security, or they might feel that there is an issue, but they're not able to admit that something went wrong at their side. So the ability to uncover these hidden things and to disclose them goes a long way to build trust and to make the other person realize that we are sort of wise and we get to know what the other person is thinking about.
You know also that when it comes to the communication skills, I believe that when it comes to the economic situation in Egypt, some people will say what is the relation, but definitely this is the pillar of boosting economy, because when we talk about economy, we are talking about production, and we talk about production, we are talking about human development and the human resources. People are suffering, people are demotivated, and they feel that no one feels what they have, for example. So how to provide this environment for someone to work and give you more? Because some people believe that, no, this is his job and he has to do it. Yes, he has to do it, but sometimes he's a human being. He is suffering, he has problems, he's not at ease in his life. So definitely when he will go to his work, for example, it's not going to be that fresh. He will not be interested. He's just doing something like this. But if you are interested, if you are motivated, you will do it perfectly. So how we can work on this?
Actually, I like this question because actually having a positive attitude is one of the essential cornerstones of actually delivering a wonderful, influential message, and which at the end of the day impacts economy. Developing a positive attitude actually is not so easy for those of us who are not really positive by nature. Well, it takes effort to have internal positive ideas and to have internal positive impressions that in spite of all the external factors, the difficulties, the issues that we might be presently having, that I'm going to have a wonderful day, I'm going to let out the best in me today, I'm going to produce more, and irrespective of having a troublesome boss, troublesome peers, I'm going to show the best in me. Definitely, it creates a positive energy. And I'll tell you something very interesting actually. In science, they found out that if someone possesses a negative energy, it spreads around to the extent of a diameter of 20 meters. Can you imagine 20 meters? So that shows us to what extent negative energy actually impacts people in the workplace. So if we actually cascade it to an economic level, to a global level, definitely it impacts a lot. So this attitude actually shows through our emails, through our phone conversations, through our face-to-face interactions. So definitely having a positive attitude and being persistent about showing positivity to the other person will definitely impact the economy at the end of the day. Yes, I mean, I actually remember, for example, in Japan, what we have seen after World War II, and how the whole nation actually has reached such an amazing economic level. So definitely, why? It was through the positive attitude that we're going to build another country, we're going to have amazing achievements.
If we're speaking about the communication skills in different, of course, we should not ignore the field of the media. So now that nowadays the parliamentary elections, and they are talking about what is required from the citizens, what's required from the future members of parliament. So can you tell us the communication skills between the media and the viewer, how it should be in order not to deliver a wrong message, in order not to misunderstand what is going on?
Okay, well, this is actually a very interesting question, and it opens doors probably for so many points. Well, actually, for example, one of the important things is, of course, we talk about the essential point of validating information before sort of broadcasting them. Through asking questions, through making sure that the information is being achieved through the right channel, through different resources. And this is one. The second thing, the objectivity, of course. When we talk about objectivity, and sometimes what happens eventually when we sort of talk about something, sometimes it might be when we are too much interested, or when we are into it. Exactly, we're biased. Sometimes we use words that reflect on feelings. So I believe when we talk about objectivity, we need to sort of tend to get away from feelings. So we talk about facts, and there is a big difference, of course, when we talk about the difference between facts and opinions. Facts are facts. It's like, yes, this happened. So this is a second point. Well, the third point is actually actually delivering the message. Like sometimes a person can have a very an important point to deliver, but the way that the message is not being delivered is actually not delivered in the right way. In the right way means that well, as long as I know, for example, I have a point to highlight, yes, by not being, for example, oversensitive, by not sort of becoming too emotional, or maybe too, when I am sort of talking about it, it reaches better. Because, as I said, people will always tend to focus on the way the message is being delivered, to the extent of 93% versus 7% to the content of the message.
There is another challenge. Maybe, okay, this person is listening to me. I am delivering the message using all the accurate body language, tone of voice, everything. But there is another challenge here, that sometimes we hear what we want to hear, and we don't hear what we don't want to hear.
Selective.
Yes, yes, selective. They call it, thank you, actually, they call it selective listening. And in selective listening, we hear part of what we want to hear. Actually, listening has got so many levels. And the highest level is the empathic listening. It's putting ourselves in the other person's place and knowing their feelings and reading between lines. But as you said, actually, selective listening is considered to be at level 3 of the levels of listening. The first level is they call the ignoring level. And in the ignoring, we don't look at the person, we don't tend to pay attention physically.
Maybe ignoring is better, because at the end you didn't take any action from the message. But selective, because sometimes you're going to react or take decisions for something that you didn't hear.
Exactly, or maybe for a role altogether, or maybe on part of the message that is not so essential. And you're absolutely right. And actually what comes to my mind here is the famous incident of Titanic. Actually, it has been noted in history that one of the reasons, actually, that such a catastrophic event and they could not manage to save so many people was the fact that when the message was being delivered, actually, at some point in time that we are sinking, the person actually thought that it was a sort of a joke and didn't act on it. He sort of took part of the message and he shut down the translation. So the people were actually, I mean, it was a big catastrophic event. So as you said, I mean, when we hear part of the message and sort of have a certain perception which might not be accurate, and not listen and shut message, whether physically or emotionally, then definitely he was tired actually, and he could not wait to make sure that the message was not a joke. He thought it was a joke, and it ended up to be a catastrophic event. So in business, in real life, definitely, it can go to an amazing extent if we take it from perspective.
So at the end, we have to say that communication skills now is a science that we need to study, we need to understand, we need to teach our children communication skills, listening, how to message correctly, many important things, to be objective, to understand things so as to react in a good way and to be proactive. I think this is the most important part. So Dr. Nesreen, Independent Management Training Consultant, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be with you today, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
And right now, let's move on to a short break, and we'll be back to our breakfast show.
Three rare white Bengal tiger cubs were filmed crawling around their nursery after being born at Yalta Zoo in Crimea. The three were rejected by their mother and are being raised from bottles by staff. Two of the three male cubs have stripes, whilst the third is virtually all white. Tiger cubs are being kept in a nursery with some recently born lion cubs, and while one day they may develop into fearsome predators, they are for now content crawling all over their cots and each other. Dozens of brightly colored hot air balloons took to the sky on the 9th and final day of the 2015 Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta in New Mexico. Several hundred balloons were registered to take part in the 9-day event. As many as 550 can take off from the 365-acre Balloon Fiesta Park within a 2-hour period on days of mass ascensions, a launch of all the participating balloons that take place in 2 waves. The annual event began in 1972 with just 13 balloons taking off from the parking lot, and has grown into include balloon pilots from more than 22 countries, with more than 100,000 spectators visiting each year.